Saturday, September 14, 2013. This is Mercedes Diesel Guy, and this is my 1979 Mercedes 240 diesel parts car. I want to start by thanking you all. By the time you see this video, my channel, Mercedes Diesel Guy, will have passed 1 million total views here on YouTube. So I want to thank you all for watching and subscribing, and certainly hope more people watch and subscribe, because that's always good. Anyhow, for this video, I wanted to do something that's just generally helpful for anybody out there working on an old car. As you've seen now, I actually have had a few projects that I've brought out of long-term dormancy and storage. First was my 72 220D, which actually was sitting in the previous owner's driveway for about 10 years. And aside from the car being kind of dusty and grimy, there was no real filth, and there had been no animal intrusion. The 83, which you see over here, which has unfortunately once again temporarily become a table. This car was sitting in a barn for about 5 years, and probably was sitting outside for a bit of time before that. And when I got the car, there was a dead mouse on the back seat, and there was certainly evidence of mouse droppings and animal intrusion. It wasn't too bad though. I mean, once I got it cleaned up, it was okay. I just mostly had to deal with the accumulated oil and grime inside and outside the car that the previous owner had sprayed to keep the car from rusting, or at least to slow it down. The 79, on the other hand, was a lot worse. This car was sitting in a field for probably 13 years, and probably sat somewhere else equally rural for a couple of years before that. And let me show you the inside here. This stuff you see back here is not rust. This is actually further remnants of rodent and animal droppings. Animals had been living under the rear seat and pretty much throughout the car, and frankly it's disgusting. But even worse than just the gross out factor, this is something you may have to deal with when you try to revive an older car, especially one that's been sitting outside for a long period of time. And I just wanted to give you some tips on how to deal with this. Like I said, it's not simply gross. This is actually a major health hazard. Rodent droppings can carry a whole bunch of really nasty stuff that won't even just make you sick. I mean, there can be stuff in here that's lethal, and you don't want to mess around with that. What I did once I got the seat up is I sprayed everything down with disinfectant and bleach-based cleaners, with the hope of kind of, for the most part, neutralizing whatever's in here. And it still stinks, but I'm not really too worried about working on it at this point. So that's one thing you can do. And in general, before you do anything, no matter what you do, it's a good idea to just spray it down with anything to keep it wet. Because if it's wet, it won't get dusty and blow in your face, or at least not as easily. But before you do anything, I 100% advise getting some rubber gloves and a face mask. These don't have to be anything fancy. These can be just simple painter's masks to help keep some dust out of your face. They're not perfect and they're not ideal, but they're way better than nothing. And also rubber gloves. Because you just don't want to screw around with this. Like I said, you can get sick, and in some cases, like I said, this stuff can be lethal. And for the most part, anything that's carpet or fabric at this point is questionable. In my case here with these seats, they're vinyl. They'll wipe down and disinfect okay. The carpeting, you can see back here, doesn't look too bad, but if I show you right here, I'll just zoom in, you can see it's definitely been chewed up by animals. I did vacuum the car out, once again to get the nasty, most dangerous dust out of here. But I'm not going to be saving any of this carpeting. It really is just, it's disgusting, it's too far gone, and even if I could clean it up, it's going to look chewed up, and there's always still the risk of something being in there. Hard surfaces, obviously, you can wipe down. I recommend some kind of a disinfectant as the first wipe, and if there's any kind of soapy residue in with the disinfectant, clean that off with water, and then you can use something like Armor All. You can see I have wiped down the dash already using that kind of a process, and it doesn't look too bad. So I'm actually going to continue with taking the car apart today, but I just wanted to leave you with that. It's not a Mercedes specific video. That's just good advice for anybody trying to revive an older car that's been sitting for a long time, especially one that's been sitting outside. So I hope this is helpful. Work smart, be safe. There's no substitute for your health. And some disinfectants, rubber gloves, face masks, these things are cheap. Goggles are a good idea too. So be careful, and good luck with reviving your projects. So this is Mercedes Diesel Guy. Thanks for watching.